This is In Your Element with Niki Seberini on 101.9 IFM.
And I just wonder how many parents out there are really aware of what their children have or have not been exposed to. And again, asking you that question, what precautions have you taken? That's what we're talking about today. Now, I have a mother on the line. She has agreed to come onto the radio and share her story with us so that we can learn from it, so that from her shocking story, we can grow and we can make the necessary changes. Good morning, Carol. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning, Niki. How are you?
Tell us what happened, Carol.
Bottom line is that my youngster, almost 8 years old, he has an iPad and he's been playing a lot of educational games on the iPad. I know what games he plays, and I usually keep track of everything that he has on that iPad. As a matter of fact, we have Wi-Fi at home. Anyhow, one day during the holidays this year, he actually asked me, Mom, could I just go onto the internet? I just want to look up some dinosaurs and I want to see some pictures and get some information. And at that particular moment, I thought about it and I thought, no, it's okay, and I was at home. Anyhow, I turned it on for him. And without thinking, my morning started going past very quickly. And the next thing I knew, I'd forgotten about it. I'd actually forgotten that I'd actually turned it on for him. And I got on with my day, and later that afternoon, I suddenly remembered about it. I went to him, and he was also playing with an older friend of his who was 11. And anyway, I turned it off. There was no problem. I never thought anything funny. And it was actually about a week later that I went onto the iPad and I went onto the internet, and lo and behold, I happened to glance at the previous pages, and I got the shock of my life. Showed links from there on, and that's how it got really bad. So he had no idea what he was looking up. Yeah. It actually was linking from one thing to the next, which got worse and worse and worse.
You're listening to 101.9 Chai FM.
At this point, I'm going to introduce Ruth Ancer, who's a clinical psychologist and specializes in adults, teens, and kids. Ruth, I just want to, and this, you were talking about this accidental exposure. I was reading, I was obviously looking at different websites, and I came across a story of a 14-year-old girl. And she said, when I was 10, my sister's boyfriend and I opened up a website on pornography, but she didn't do it on purpose. She said, my mom wanted to take me to Wet and Wild Water Park. I got on the internet and typed in Wet and Wild to find out how much it cost. When I clicked on the site, it was a lesbian pornography. She saved more than 1,000 pictures, and she said, and these are in her words, she says, it corrupted my mind. When I would see a girl, all I could picture was seeing her naked. I judged girls on their bodies, not on their personalities. At the age of 10, how prepared is a child's mind?
I don't think children are ready at the age of 10. They're in a pre-adolescent stage. So they're curious, but they don't know how to process the material.
How does a child recover? Can you ever turn the clock back?
You can't turn the clock back, but you can use the experience as a learning opportunity. Carol luckily found out the child hyperventilating was his fear, first of all, embarrassment and shame, but also his fear of getting into trouble. So it's not about turning the clock back and pretending it didn't happen, but it's about saying, how do we use this as a way of teaching how you cope with when things like this happen?
This is In Your Element with Niki Seberini on 101.9 IFM.
I have Ramon J Thomas on the line, who is a speaker and author of Parents' Guide to Mix It, LinkedIn lessons, as well as a new book, which is The Psychology of Technology. And after years of ongoing research into the sexual behavior of people who use online dating websites, he specializes on the good, but there is also the bad and the ugly, and especially when our children are involved. I sometimes think that we're sort of aware of what kind of a world there is out there when it comes to having access to the technology, but we may not really be aware of just how damaging it can be.
It is quite damaging. One of the reports that I've come across says that 95% of children under the age of 10 have already been exposed to pornography. And it's really important, like, how we address this sort of accidental exposure that occurs more and more frequently on the internet.
Now, when we talk about, I mean, this story of this young boy who was 7 years old, and as you say, it was an accidental exposure. But if we had to look, for example, if we had to take it to the older, the child who's now a teenager, who has been given a smartphone, who has access to the internet, who's using, Facebook, and who's using Mix It, how do things then change? Once children, so it's not accidental, children start to go out and search for it.
Well, I would say because of the early exposure that children have from all the media, television and the internet primarily, I would say, as well as from their social networks, their friends, at school. I think there's a lot of exposure that takes place. The sort of curiosity factor continues to grow. Mm-hmm. And that's why parents, I think, need to be vigilant when any cases emerge in terms of how they address it. And they need to really make sure that they don't put blame on the child, because so much of it is accidental. Just Googling or mistyping the word Disney, for example, you can find hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of websites that will have pornographic material, photos, videos. What really scares me, Nikki, is sitting on a panel with Childline and the cell phone industry as well as government a few years ago. One of the most shocking statements that was made was that the perpetrators of sexual violence are becoming younger and younger and younger. Mm-hmm. So now you have children literally below the age of 10 committing sexual acts with your children even younger than themselves.
You're listening to 101.9 Chai FM.
I'm going to bring Lawrence into the discussion now. Lawrence has put together a website called Cell Phone Safety. Keep your kids safe, and it really is for parents. It's a website that parents can go to. I'm just looking. It says, make your home porn free. Busy parents' guide to blocking porn. Parental controls, etc., etc. How to disable Mix It chat rooms, stranger danger. All of these are on the website. So we invited Lawrence to join us this morning. What we can put in place to ensure that our children will not accidentally come across pornography, or if they are curious to search, are not able to go and search the pornography.
So the pornography issue is probably the number one item that people are searching for and that people are accessing on the Cell Phone Safety website. It's a major concern. There are other issues that we cover, softer issues like cyberbullying and addiction to BlackBerry, for example. But the number one issue is the porn issue, and fortunately there is a solution. And basically what you've done in the show up until now is you've identified the what the problem is, what the trend is. The website is the how. How do you actually disable adult content on an iPad? Mm-hmm. And the latest article I've got is making your home porn free. Mm-hmm. And there's an amazing free service called Family Shield by a company called OpenDNS. I've set it up at my house. Mm-hmm. Works. It's so simple. It works instantly. And basically, once you do it, takes you 5 minutes. There's no device in your house. Your computer, your laptop, your iPad, your Xbox, your Galaxy, whatever it is, none of them will be able to access porn.
This is In Your Element with Niki Seberini on 101.9 IFM.